All right, so we just finished. Did you start that? Mm-hmm. Okay, good. So you're looking at me because I want. All right, we're in a class, right? So this is a classroom. There are about 20 students in the class right now, and I'm going to try to walk you through phase 2 of introduction. If you missed phase 1, that's okay. I'm sure you can. There's another link somewhere in there that can take you to phase 1. Now we're going to start with, we already know what a thesis statement is, and we already have an example of what that thesis statement looks like. And so now it's time for us to take what we know of as our thesis statement, which is the main idea of the essay, which incorporates the topic, the stance, and the supporting details, all in one sentence. And now we have to think about a strategy that allows us to get into that thesis statement. And so the first part of any introduction, the first part should be the connection strategy. This part of the introduction is what is called the connection strategy. And so the question is, how do you want to connect to your reader? Now, you already have all of the body information already done. I know you may have heard before that the introduction should be written first, and that is not the case. We have already written our body paragraphs or our outline, and now it's time for us to do the introduction. And we've already done the thesis statement. So here we go. The first strategy that you can use is called or where you provide background information or you define key terms that relates to the topic of your essay. For the essay that this class is working on, it's about the internal and external dimensions of one's identity. That is a mouthful to say. So one should maybe think about defining what that is. So the essay might start with internal factors means, and then they'll explain what internal factors mean. And then they'll say external factors mean, and then they'll explain what that means. And then they'll give some kind of context around why these things are important, internal and external factors. And then they must begin to transition into the topic after they've developed that connection piece to the reader. Now it's time to transition into the topic, which is about Kate Chopin and William Faulkner, and the way in which their stories are a reflection of their internal and external factors. So that would be 2 to 3 sentences about that. And then we already have our thesis statement. So it would sound a little something like that, like this. Internal factors are there 6 crucial elements to internal factors. It would be one's age, race, social, sexual orientation, gender, physical ability level. These things all influence a person's reality and how they experience the world. It also influences the way in which society views that individual. The external factors are about 13 different elements that relates to geographic location. It also relates to marital status, even parental status. All of these elements also impact the way a person experiences the world and how society responds to them. 2 particular authors that internal and external factors influence what they say and how they say it are William Faulkner and Kate Chopin. And then now I get into my thesis statement. The internal and external factors of one's identity is evident in William Faulkner's story and in Kate Chopin's story. And these factors influence their authoritative voice, including what transpires in their stories. That's taking all of these elements. I did about 6 to 8 sentences up here. Then I begin to transition into my topic. And then I followed it up with the thesis statement. Some other ways that you can use following that same concept would be a quote or one-liner. You may have heard before that you can start your essay off with a quote with somebody who is credible that relates to the topic. Then after that, you would do 6 to 8 sentences about that quote. Remember, if you use a quote, you have to cite it using the format that your professor is asking you about. So for our class, we're doing MLA format. So you would start with the quote, Abraham Lincoln once said, and then if it relates to the topic, then you would build some content or contextualize it. Then you would transition into your topic. Then you would have your thesis statement. Another way that you can do it is called a specific story. So you start really specific around what it is that you're writing about. And then it's a story, though. And then you transition into your topic. An example of a specific story would be something like a black woman experiences the world in ways that white women do not. The reason why a black woman experiences the world differently is because of the way in which the world looks at her race and her gender. These things all influence what a black woman would say that is different than other cultural groups. That's me telling a specific story about black women, and then I'm going to say the way in which the world responds to black women is not exclusive, though. in that there are two other notable authors that allow for the way the world views them, which impacts their story. Those authors are William Faulkner and Kate Chopin. And then I would get right into my thesis statement. This is probably the more famous one that students are exposed to, broader general theme, where you start with something that is a theme that people can relate to, and then you transition into your topic. A theme that people can relate to would be like love, joy, pain, all those kind of things. And then you transition into your topic, and then you have your thesis statement. I rushed this last one, and that's okay, because hopefully you can find an idea of how to do it, or you can look at another video and you'll get other strategies for how to start an introduction. Use one of these strategies to start, build around 6 to 8 sentences, and then transition into your thesis statement. Provide your thesis statement, you'll be all set with a Comp 2 college level research essay introduction.